All right.
Now we're live. Yeah, I think. So we have another 4 minutes or so to wait for people to come into the room.
Next one, say hi.
Ah,
Dina.
Nice to see you.
Sure.
Okay. So, didn't I turn this off? We have another 4 minutes or so. Okay, so now I can see there's 20 people in the room.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Nobody's saying anything. Bob Diaz. Can you see the Facebook chat?
I am gonna open it right now.
Andreas Guldner is listening to us.
Hey.
Welcome. When did you see him last time?
I got a message from him 2 days ago. He sent me
really?
something really funny. All right, let's see. So the chat I can see on the Facebook page.
On the Facebook page, yeah, you see what they're saying. And Guldner, thank you so much. He says we're looking good.
Hey.
I saw him. He actually came down here with his wife and his kids just before the lockdown. Like
Cool.
he just had one chance 1 week and then it was all closed. So that
Good
was
timing.
like very nice. Samo is here.
Arne Bonner. Some people I recognize.
Yeah, good. I'm not going to recognize everybody.
Toby Malloy. Hey, Toby. So it's some of the clients we've had in Norway.
Ah, some of your divers.
Yeah.
Orca swimmers. Okay, 73 people now in the room.
Toby, I think you're actually in this little talk today. It's a little surprise for you. Hey, Arne.
Alejandro, nice to see you here.
So if it looks a bit weird, I'm looking up and down. It's because I'm looking at two screens here. I've got
And I'm looking to
and
Facebook. I don't know where to put it, so I don't have to do that all the time.
Hey, someone from South Africa. Hey, Hugo.
Okay, we're getting close. 71. Let's wait just a little bit more. Oops, there came a jump.
Good pun there, orca tails.
Waiting for the architect. Okay. Alejandro, we were interviewing him last week. He's from Patagonia. He had some encounter with orcas, which scared the shit out of him at some point.
Yeah, it's a pretty normal response if you're not expecting to see them.
Yeah. You go down, it's like he thought it was a rock. Like, what is that? And it's like, it's like a big thing, and was following him up. Yeah. Oklahoma is here.
Ooh.
And Greece.
Cameroon. Wow.
Ah,
From all over.
Karim from Egypt. Hello, hello.
Hey, Karim.
Okay, so it's actually time.
Yeah.
I think we can start. It's 3 o'clock.
Cool.
So here we go.
Pavel is here.
Pavel. Pavel or Pavel? Or
Pavel.
both? Pavel.
Pavel.
Okay. Hi, Pavel. Maybe he misses it too much. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
So welcome everybody to this little talk I'm gonna have with Jacques de Vos. First of all, I'm Lotta Ericson. I'm a SSI training director, free diver, obviously. I know Jacques since many years, but we live in different countries now, so we don't see each other much. And he developed from being non-free diver all the way up to running Orca groups in Norway. So let's introduce yourself. Jacques de Vos, obviously, from?
Yeah, so originally I'm from South Africa, small town called Fishhook, which is near Cape Town. I guess most people know roughly where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now I live in Tenerife in the Canary Islands, not Norway.
That's a big jump. Okay, so where did you start freediving and all this?
So basically, as far back as I can remember, we've always lived close to or near the ocean. My dad was in the Navy, so it was always close to the sea. So pretty much as far back as I can remember, I've always been swimming and diving, you know, the kind of free diving you do when you don't know what you're doing. And yeah, and basically I was always in the water, in the ocean, always swimming, diving. But in, I think it was 2008, I did my first semi-formal introduction course to freediving. That was with Hanley Prinsloo. And very shortly after that, I did my first AIDA 2-star with Linda Paganelli, which started in Cape Town.
Ah,
and yeah,
of course.
and if you remember, in same year, 2000, or was it 2010 actually? Yeah, 2010, I came up to Dab. That's when I met you.
Yes.
And yeah, that's kind of where things got serious.
That's a long time ago now.
10
yeah.
years.
Here we can see some video.
Yeah, so this is all stuff from Cape Town.
From Cape Town, yeah.
I think we're going to see a bit more, but obviously we have the kelp forests there, like you see here.
That's one thing that I never got to dive in or swim in or free diving. Like kelp forest, they seem so awesome. That's another of my dreams.
One of those questions people ask me, like, what's the best diving you've ever done, or what's your favorite diving? And honestly, next to orcas, or very close next to orcas, it's kelp forests. There's just so much life in there, and like the abundance of life is unreal. Yeah, so and I lived in Dab, as you know.
Yeah, so you started in Cape Town.
Yep.
Did your first course, went to the hub. Here we are, you became instructor.
Yeah.
And eventually even instructor trainer.
Yep. So I was there from 2010 till 2015, I think. Yeah, and in that time I went from, I was a AIDA instructor, eventually SSI, we were talking about it just now. It's 10 years almost. Well, it's 10 years since we did the SSI 40th anniversary. What was it, like
celebration?
An event
in Safaga, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Introducing freediving to all SSI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good old days. Okay, so that made you an IT eventually, and you're in that hub, but now you're running Orca trips in Norway. What happened in between that? How did that happen?
It's quite interesting. So
one of my first ever freediving students, literally, I think one of the first ones I had, was a guy from Switzerland. He's an inventor, a scientist. He does a lot of stuff with ETH and the University of Zurich. We stayed friends from his first course, and he actually came back to Dab and also to Cape Town when I was teaching there. And we kept in touch. And many years later, we were in Dab. We were having one of the Freedive Dab desert dinners in Wadi Gnai. And quite randomly, we were having a discussion about things you've always wanted to do. And he was just, if I remember correctly, fresh from a trip to Belize in the Blue Hole there. He was diving there. And then they asked me, like, what's the one thing you've always wanted to see or do? Or so I just, since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to see an orca. I've had an obsession with orcas since forever.
Okay.
And then he kind of went, that's interesting. It would actually be cool to go and see them in the wild. And I went, yeah, it would be. And he kept adding, he said, yeah, and even more, like it would actually be very useful to my work, because he at the time was designing something I cannot go into too much detail about, but he could use the footage of orcas moving underwater, basically to emulate their moving in this technology. So he just there in the desert at night, he proposed, let's go to Norway and go and film some orcas, and I can do some acoustic studies and stuff. And I thought it was a joke. I was laughing. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
And he said, no, just give me a second.
Happen.
And he went to some of his other friends were there as well, also guys I know quite well. And they had a little huddle, little meeting, and he came back and he said, yeah, okay, so you take responsibility of organizing an expedition, and we'll take care of the funding and all that stuff, and let's go do it. And it was pretty crazy. I think that was shortly before October, and as most people know, the orca season in Norway starts around October. But at that time I knew nothing about where you could dive with orcas. I didn't know there was industries where you could possibly do it, so I went through all the research.
Because the point was to actually get in the water with the orcas,
exactly.
Not just go look at them from a boat. Yeah.
And I started with New Zealand, and we ran into some hurdles. We went through the process of applying for research permits for Canada, but it would take too long. So I just, by chance, I found out that there was some people sometimes snorkeling and doing stuff with orcas in Norway. So now we're right before orca season, and I started reaching out to, there was only, one or two operators there. Hi, Pierre. And I wrote and I said, we have this research project. We want to come up. We need a boat, and we want to come. And everyone's like, no, we're full. We cannot take you. It's just before the season. So out of desperation, I contacted Sailing Charter, and I kind of explained what it is we were planning on doing, which was work with hydrophone arrays, hydrophone systems, and some other stuff. And they'd never had divers on board, or free divers for that matter. So they were curious, but kind of cautious. And they said, yeah, we have this big catamaran, and, how many guys are you? And I said, well, we're 3 guys, and we want to come up for, quite a few days. And yeah, okay, we'll give it a try. And so long story short, I arranged all the logistics. We went up there, never done with orcas in my life. I think the first day we went out, it was a big storm, big waves, and pretty much the first blackfins we saw, we just looked at one another and went, this is why we came, jumped in the water, and within seconds we had orcas, humpbacks, herring. It's still one of the most memorable experiences ever. Everything brand new. I'd never seen them in the water. And okay, so that was day one, and the week just got better and it progressed. And by the end of that session, or that trip, I had the situation where now I've done this thing, which it was the number one thing I've wanted to do in my life, and it's coming to an end. And I knew that the odds of me getting back there and doing the same thing just on my own is pretty slim.
It's not every time in your life. Very often you get somebody say, hey, where do you want to go? Exactly. Anywhere they say, I want to go there. Okay, I pay for you to do it. It's not going to happen again. Most probably.
It's exactly that. So I started thinking, and the skipper was on our boat, was the owner of the Sailing Charter. So the company is called Boreal Yachting. They're one of Norway's biggest yachting operators, and awesome guys. And so Ivar was the captain. He was with us. He's one of the part owners. I sat down and I started talking to him, and I said, what if I bring like-minded people up here, and we start sharing this with other people? And really friendly. He's like, yeah, we can give it a try. They didn't really think I'd be able to find people to come up. And yeah, pretty much from there, the next year we had sold out weeks, and I brought up the first freedivers. And that's kind of where it started. So from year to year, we got more interest. And now it is what it is now. We've got Arctic freediving, and we're taking people diving in Norway.
So how many, a group on the boat, you said it was a catamaran. This is still the same catamaran. Like, how many people is it in a group?
So originally the groups were slightly bigger. We actually started bigger, 6 people maximum, but on average it was about 5. And through the years, we've actually made the group smaller and smaller. So now we're down to maximum 4.
Okay.
That's a lot to do with how the animals interact with people, doing things ethically and keeping things as safe and as controlled as possible. So we have,
so it's small groups.
Normally got 2 boats, and it's 4 boats. Sorry, 4 people. 4 people.
4 people. So now you have 2 boats. In the beginning, it was 1 boat.
Only 1.
So that's how much it grows. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So we get a lot of requests to expand even more, to take more people, and it's just something I don't really want to do. I want to keep it small. Yeah, I think it's the best way to do it, not just for us, but also for the clients. Yeah, here's a little picture you see right now is one of the orca calves. This is, as you'll see later, it's definitely one of the highlights for most of the people. If you're lucky enough to see something like that, it's unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list. So obviously we're seeing your photos here now. You're also a photographer. Oh, are you videographer? Like when did that start? Would that start with the freediving or with the orcas? Or?
I was taking pictures from, well, many years ago. Even before I got really serious about diving, I was already shooting film. Still have my old Rolleiflexes and stuff. But as a scuba instructor, I got very serious about underwater photography. I had a great instructor who was a very good photographer himself. And he basically got me into it. And this was in the days when I was still diving in Cape Town. So we were lucky to have the 7-gill cow sharks and, the kelp forests. And as you see here, that's kind of where it started. And it got serious from there.
Beautiful. Yeah. I remember you talking about the 7-gill cow sharks a lot. There you go. There you go. It's really cool. Okay, so it kind of went already before, like when you were scuba.
Yeah.
And then it kept going. Wow.
Then it turned into stuff like this. I mean, when I was in Dahab with you guys, just being the Red Sea, it's so easy to get amazing clear water shots, and especially with freedivers. Then we had all the competitions in the Blue Hole, and as you remember, I was always the guy on the side with the camera.
With the camera, always, yeah. So when you first went up to Norway was to take pictures and film the orcas, obviously, and then it turned down to bring people to share the experience with you. But you're still doing the photo and the videos, obviously.
Yeah, so it has multiple purposes. One of the main things is I actually still work with a Swiss friend of mine. So we do a lot of acoustic stuff, but on the picture and video side, a lot of the media I capture goes to research, conservation, ID work, that kind of stuff. And at the same time, personally, I also, from time to time, I make short films and videos and stuff. And so it's still something I take seriously. It's still something I do.
Here comes another nice kelp.
So yeah, the pictures are slightly mixed, but it's mixed between Cape Town, Dahab. The shark you saw there was a mako. That was Cape Town as well.
The one.
So yeah, I was really lucky when I was scuba diving in Cape Town. I had a very good friend there who owns Pisces divers.
That picture, I just have to say before it disappears, that got quite famous.
Yeah, I got a bit of circulation. Eel Garden in Dahab.
Yeah, the beautiful place. Yeah.
And
sorry for interrupting you.
Just saying that I was lucky with Pisces divers. A lot of the diving I managed to do in Cape Town was because of Mike, if you're listening. They were always very supportive of my diving and the photography and stuff like that. So that was really awesome.
Cool. And then now, so you're still doing a lot with the photo, video things, but beside organizing this orca diving for people, you do take part in some orca research also, what I know. Can you tell us a little bit about that, maybe? What you're doing with that in Norway?
So I am not a qualified marine biologist. My background is chemical engineering. I get the question a lot, like, how can I do what you do? Like, how I ended up where I am is a lot of chance, but it's also supporting, the right people, the right efforts, which I think is really important. So from the beginning, the very first year we went to Norway, we started working with guys like the Norwegian Orca Survey, who is an organization I very strongly support. And a lot of the work we do now, or I do now, is linked to more supporting what it is they're doing. Definitely check it out. They're the only full-time orca research and conservation group in Norway. And one of their several big projects, or the one that we get clients involved in as well, is part of the Norwegian Orca ID catalog. And yeah, you'll see it on the website here. If you go to www.norwegianorca-id.no, I think it's right there.
Yeah.
You have this interactive website where you can actually scroll through the ID'd orca population of Northern Norway. So this is created and run by the Norwegian Orca Survey. And that is literally them going out and taking ID pictures of orca. It's usually the fin and the saddle patch, which is the white patch behind the dorsal fin.
What you see on top of the water?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, you can see they've got 1,145 identified orcas, and that's only mature orcas. They don't include calves. So what we do is we get clients from all over the world. And of course, we get a lot of people who are quite serious about photography. So they have long lenses or, semi-decent DSLR or, good cameras. And anyone can contribute to that project, in that we basically explain to our clients as part of the presentation at the beginning of all the courses, what the type of pictures you need to take and how to send that information to the Orca Survey. So you, as any individual from anywhere, become a citizen scientist, and that they can use that information. They can ID the orca if it's a new one, or if it's one they recognize, they can actually see, because they'll ask you where you took the picture, and we can help with that.
They see a little bit how they move. Yeah,
exactly. And you can monitor everything from how a pod is doing, how the population is doing, and beyond that, the Orca Survey, they're based in Andenes. They do a lot of work on other types of predation. So feeding on predation or hunting.
Okay.
Be careful how I answer this question, but a lot of people say, the orcas in Norway, they only eat herring, and this is why we can dive with them, which is not true. They also feed on, seals and whales and all kinds of stuff. We'll get into why it's not something to worry about a little bit later. But with this ID information, the Orca Survey can then basically use that information to, see if the same individuals are feeding on different prey types. So they do incredible work, and we gladly support them. And then, okay, the video you see here now, this is one of the last things I was helping them out with. The Orca Survey also basically exclusively figured out, but helped with the research in proving that the orcas in that region, this is the Andøya region, that they were feeding on a newly discovered type of prey, which is lumpfish. If anyone eats caviar, that's the kind of fish you get the caviar from. So my role in this was the in-water guy. So Orca Survey, they don't get in the water. So basically, when you see the orca
I think
here,
you told me before, like they were happy to meet you because they could get pictures underwater because they just stay on the boat. Yeah,
exactly. So my role in this was, if we would basically follow the animals around, and when we saw a specific type of predation behavior, I would jump in the water and as quickly as possible scoop up any of the remains, as you can see there, for them to then be able to prove that that was lumpfish. And you have to do that a few times. And yeah, they actually proved that this is a new type of prey species. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to be included as one of the co-publishers of this paper. And you can find that on Marine Mammal.
Congratulations.
Marine Mammal Science website. Thank you. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, beyond that, it's just the acoustic stuff, which is ongoing. And as far as we can, we try and, give back and support the efforts which are ongoing.
That's super nice. So technically, this is your full-time job now, right? Or
it is seasonal in the sense that I am there basically the whole winter. But of course, the rest of the year, I'm not always in Norway. We do run trips in summer. Same with boreal yachting. We send people up to Svalbard, if anyone's interested. Polar bears.
Again?
Svalbard.
Yeah, Svalbard I heard, but what do you do there?
In June, July, we do have expeditions to go there. So I do that with my partners, boreal yachting. And that's not diving, that's all topside. So you basically go up on yachts and you can see polar bears, walruses, belugas, glaciers. There's a never-ending list of cool stuff.
So you go there in the summer also every year?
Yeah, not every year. When it is possible for me to go up, I do like to join. So yeah, it's definitely one of those places that if you're serious about nature and want to see someplace absolutely pristine and untouched, it's definitely a place to visit. So obviously this year it wasn't possible with all the restrictions and stuff, but hopefully again next year. And to answer your question, with the Orcas, the Arctic freediving stuff, I'm always working in the sense that I'm always trying to communicate with potential clients and answering questions.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm there in the winter. That's it.
Yeah. And other than that, you teach any freediving courses still?
Not as much as I used to. I do a lot of commercial photography and video. So mostly I do stuff for watch brands and lifestyle kind of brands and stuff. It's really easy to do here in Tenerife. We've got clear water. It's semi-warm, not as warm as Dahab. And I do some stock footage stuff as well. And on occasion, I make my own short films and stuff. And I've just started editing a new one now. So for everyone who's been asking, there will be a new one coming eventually. So yeah.
And what is it about?
Orcas.
No, shit. A specific.
I'll do my best to include some humpbacks. No, this time, last one I did was about orcas feeding around fishing boats. This is a couple of years ago. This time it's a bit more general. It's just footage and stuff I've captured, and I realized a lot of people just like to see what it is we experience up there. So it's more like that.
I have to just tell what I remember most, what you said when you came back from your first trip, when you went yourself, yeah? And, because you went to see the orcas, obviously. And then there was so many humpback whales, and that's another big dream other, people have, like freediving with humpback whales, but they don't necessarily come together, the orcas and the humpback whales, but apparently they do there. So I just remember how you were so focused, like it was super cool to see the humpback whale first, and then you want to keep watching the orcas, and you were almost to the point where you're getting annoyed with all these humpback whales that are just in the way.
Actually,
having that picture, like as you come home and you're talking about that, it's like, Jesus Christ, like what an amazing place to be when you think the humpback whales are in the way, like, and also you talked about this layer of what is it called? It's
silt herring.
Not the herring.
The how can I not remember this now?
This one.
The
ugly red one. Cod. Yes.
There you go.
It was a layer, you said. Like,
that's right.
Oh, fjord was just a layer of cod that I don't remember if you could swim through it or not, but it was like I'm from Sweden. I mean, when I was really, really young, maybe you could go out and just fish cod like nothing. And when I was a teenager up, like you could not really find it. It was from being the absolutely cheapest fish that everybody ate is now an expensive fish. It's not so much. And then you went to Norway and it's like a carpet of cod that covers the whole bay.
I have to say that in that sense, the Norwegians, the fisheries department especially, and the Coast Guard, they do an excellent job at managing the fish stock. So some of my clients have experienced this, sometimes to the detriment of our orca, day or whatever. But if the authorities realize that the amount of cod in a fjord is too much, and they do that by active monitoring, they will actually close the entire fjord, even if it's full of herring, to allow some of the cod to leave in order for the fishermen not to have too much cod in the bycatch. So that's one thing, the fishing industry is very important for the Norwegians, and they're very responsible in managing that. But just to address your humpback thing, I don't know if we can play the humpback video I think I sent. Yeah, so anyone who knows me, they know my obsession is orcas. And we do have these days where you're on the boat and you're driving, and it's just this never-ending, just humpbacks. And you're like, okay, yeah, awesome humpbacks, but where's the orcas? And we tell the clients, like, if I do that, please just nudge me if you want to get in the water with the humpbacks. Like, we'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love humpbacks. Okay, here you can see kind of what I mean. But I mean, you have these megapods, not megapods, but big pods where you can have 12 to 18 humpbacks all at once, and they're just absolutely everywhere. Sometimes with orcas and stuff in between as well. I mean, that's not something you see everywhere, and I definitely don't take it for granted. But yeah, we're super lucky to have. You've got humpbacks, you have the orcas, and some seasons there's even things like fin whales around. So
this one I don't know. It's amazing. I mean, your clients that come, yes, they want to swim with orcas, but I'm sure they're more than happy to see this.
We do have the odd clients that actually come more for the humpbacks, so it's definitely not exclusive
because they
orcas.
Okay, so they are, yeah. They know that they will show up usually. So almost all the time, like during your trips are like a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what
usually,
would you say is common that you get to see the humpback also at least sometime during that week, or?
Yeah, I'd say for pretty much, if you come too early in the season, there's a slim chance you won't see as many, or if you come quite late in the season, which would be mid-January, they might already start leaving. But for most of the weeks, there's humpbacks around.
And orcas, of course.
And orcas and herring, which is another thing. I think people, they should be a bit more appreciative of the herring. Just seeing balls of herring underwater there without the whales, it's unreal. If you see the quantity, one of the projects we're working on now, I'll actually be posting something in a few days. This last season, we had a situation where we had one fjord where the fjord is maybe, I don't know, 3 kilometers long, and it has a depth of about 120 meters, where the entire fjord is nearly filled with herring. So that's anywhere from 100 to 120 meters depth of herring for, a kilometer or more. And it's unreal, like the quantity of that stuff. And there's cod in between, and every now and then you hear the humpbacks calling, and there's orcas, and it's unreal.
Yeah, big
magical
fish.
Place.
Yeah, it is. It sounds. But now we got a question, and it kind of, why is everybody not diving there? So let's see. What's the question from Karim? What is the water temperature?
All right, it's the most, I'd say, sorry, one of the most asked questions we get is, isn't it too cold? What's the water temperature? Yeah, okay, the water temperature, it can be 6-7 degrees Celsius, or it can go as low as 2 to 3. But the thing is, with the right equipment, you're oblivious to it. You do not know how cold the water is. And just out of interest, most people don't get cold in the water, they get cold out of the water. And that's typically if you're in your suit and you're wet and you're standing on the deck of the boat looking for whales, and you're not managing your temperature, there's a bigger risk that you'll get cold. But just, water temperature, not an issue if you're prepared.
So, okay, this sounds cold. I've been in some cold water, but I guess it depends. I mean, if you're moving around, obviously also you keep your heat better. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're wearing suits. Like what kind of equipment do you need here for these kind of temperatures?
So typically we recommend, you'll see some video here, as Chiara. We ask clients to wear minimum 7 millimeter open cell suits like you see in the video here.
Yeah.
And for most people, that's enough. Some people opt for 8 millimeters, but anything more is too much. You get super buoyant, and the benefit of how much warmer you stay is
Michelin man.
Exactly. Yeah. So 6 millimeter gloves, 5 millimeter socks.
Yeah, for sure you should have gloves also. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who was that? Somebody listening at the end? No.
I missed it there.
No, okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so usually, I mean, obviously you tell the clients this before, what they should have. So usually people are not having a problem with this, yeah?
Not at all. I spend a lot of time to help people. Yeah, so these guys are getting dressed, and they're getting dressed there. This must be, I don't know, -1 outside. But yeah, I mean, people have fun, and if you're properly prepared, like, the temperature really isn't an issue.
Wow. Oh, Cool guys. So what is, I mean, obviously they were not on the boat, they were on the pontoon.
Yeah. So, okay, there's...
That's what you do after your trip. Like, let's go play at the beach.
No, actually, all of our expeditions, especially for new clients, it starts like that. We're really strict about making sure that people are properly prepared and informed before we even go to the boat. Mm-hmm. So if you're a new client, typically what happens is we go to a guest house on the first day. Mm-hmm. And this guest house is in, like you saw in the video there, it's right on the water. Mm-hmm. And on the first day, we spend our time doing presentations, which cover everything from the herring, the fishing industry, the authorities, the orcas, the whales, absolutely everything. And that's to, prepare people that when you're out on the water, you actually know what it is you're seeing around you. You're not just focused on, checking a box and seeing the whales. And it's really important because I think a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people, they miss that experience to go anywhere and not really have an idea of the whole system surrounding the thing you're there to see. I think a lot of, you miss a lot of things which you can actually appreciate. So apart from that, we do actually check people in the water before they're going to the boat to make sure that they're at a certain level. And we do have some requirements as an operator to make sure that, people are properly prepared. And we get the question a lot, like, why do you have the requirements? Like, can I not just go and snorkel and do whatever? It has a lot to do with not only...
Here comes the boat.
Yeah. It just shows you how comfortable the living conditions are. But what we do at the guest house is to make sure that, we have a certain standard for everyone that's going to go into the water. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to have one guy always falling behind, which kind of holds the group back. And for us as the guides, we don't want to be checking out, over the shoulder the whole time to make sure that, the one guy who's barely keeping up is still breathing. Like, we want to know that.
But do you need to have a freediving certification, or where is the standard staying?
Yeah, so if you go to the Arctic Freediving website, there's actually a requirement section. And the basic thing is just, we want people to be able to operate in the water without needing direct supervision. So we don't explicitly need someone to be certified as a freediver or a scuba diver. We have many, many scuba divers. It helps if you have that. We recommend that you do that if you're not that experienced. But the basic thing is if you're a strong swimmer or you're someone who's confident in the water, let's say a surfer or someone who does a lot of skin diving, not necessarily free diving, and you meet the minimum requirements which we list on the website, you should be okay to join. And I'm reading some of the things here. It's things like you should be able to snorkel 100 meters in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which it's not that hard. Like, that's pretty doable for most people. And one of the things a lot of people think is funny when they read it on the website, but you will not believe how important it is being able to lift yourself out of the water onto something which is about 50 centimeters high, which in our case is the rib or the tender boat.
And it's not so easy to get onto a rib sometimes.
That's something you can practice. Most people, if you practice pull-ups at home, or you just practice getting on a little floating jetty or something at home, you'll get good enough to do that. And so we just want everyone to be at a basic same kind of level to ensure that everyone has the same experience, but also to ensure the safety.
The safety,
if something were to happen, I want to know that if I tell the two people with me, go from here to there as quick as you can and get in the boat, like, they're going to do it and they're not going to kill themselves trying to do it. So that's why we have the requirements and why we check people before we actually go out.
And that's what you were doing in that video where they're all jumping in the water from the bridge, from the pontoon. Yeah,
exactly.
So you say they need to swim 100 snorkel 100 meter in less than, what did you say?
Like 2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Okay. And you actually time that and check that they can do that?
Yeah, we check it. We also give them some tips on snorkeling techniques to, keep things as quiet and silent in the water as possible. Obviously, you don't want the guy who kicks like a, motorboat chasing everything away. We make sure that they can actually get in and out of the water. And we also really encourage, like the freediving thing, the buddy system. So you're never just out on your own doing your own thing.
It's like 2x2.
Yeah.
Okay, keeping track. Okay. Nice. So did it happen that you had people that actually came up and they didn't pass your requirements?
It unfortunately has. We've had a few people who, they take the chance, which always surprises me because I'm quite serious with all the correspondence and it's in the client agreement and the website. And so we've had a few people come up and kind of, sneak by, but yeah, they were not allowed to dive, which we hate doing that, but we have regulations and we have internal, standards that we stick to.
And they can see everything from the boat still.
Exactly.
Even if they wanted to jump in the water.
Yeah, I have to say, one of the common questions we get is, can I join if I don't dive? And of course, we have situations where Jana, Pavel's wife, she's driving the rib.
And who is Pavel?
So Pavel, for anyone who doesn't know, he's actually watching right now. He's my guide on the other boat. He's been an instructor he's been working with Lotta as well for many, many years. He was managing as well in Thailand. He's been teaching in Dab, so he's really experienced. And he and his wife, Jana, they're up there helping me on the other yacht.
On this second boat,
and everyone loves them. They're absolutely awesome people. Click like.
So now you wanted to say something about Jana.
Yeah, so she'll be driving the rib.
Who doesn't want to dive, they just want to come anyway.
Yeah, so she'll be in the rib, and we always have the system where we've got the yachts and at least one tender boat watching the people in the water. It's a safety thing. And she'll be slightly offset watching the activity in the water. And so many times, especially the orcas, they'll start hanging around her boat. And I mean, within arm's reach. If she wanted to, she could reach out and touch the dorsal fin, which she doesn't. And you'll have these clients who, they're not there to dive. They just want to see the animals. And they have these orcas blowing, right next to them. And you have all the people in the water, 10 meters away seeing this happen. Like, whoa, come on. So yeah, even as a non-diver, you can have, life-changing experiences. There's people that,
okay. We had two questions here. I just want to jump in. Like one, Andreas is asking, where is this? I don't know how specific he wants to. Yeah, it's in Norway. We know that yet. Norway. You said something. Where is this happening?
So we usually start our trips out of Tromsø. If you spell that, it's Tromso with a little line through it.
Tromsø.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And it really depends on the activity. So where this happens depends on where the herring goes. Some years ago, 3-4 years ago, it used to be right outside Tromsø. And the last few years, it's been in an area closer to a place called Skjervøy. It can change every single year. It all depends on where the herring comes in, which is a very interesting topic on its own. And basically,
but technically, you start always like the base is Tromsø.
Exactly. And just the way we're set up, it doesn't matter where the activity go, we can basically follow it because we are a liveaboard operation. So we don't have to go back to the same harbor every single night.
Yeah, so you can harbor in different places. Yeah. The Orca research team. Sorry, I forgot their Orca survey. Norwegian. Yeah, they are also in Tromsø, or they're somewhere else.
They're based in Andenes, so they do the same thing. They actually bring their boat up wherever the activity is, and they'll spend the season there. So that's Ricard and Eve, and they'll just be out there doing their thing, taking pictures, and doing all kinds of research and conservation work. If anyone's interested, you can actually see them in BBC. I think it's Blue Planet 2. I'm not quite sure. I think it's episode 1 and 7. They actually did a feature about them and the work they do. Quite cool.
Okay, cool. We have another question.
Yes.
From Memo.
Hey, Memo.
How is the behavior of orca when you meet? Do they interact?
All right. So depending on, this is a really tricky thing to answer. A lot of people come there with an idea of what it is they're going to see. Some people just come up, and if they were to see an orca at 100-meter distance, their life has changed. That's all they want. So an in-water interaction can be anything from a pod of orcas passing you in less than 6 seconds. And, even for me, sometimes that's my day made. That's like the best thing ever. Or it can be something as awesome as a baby actually coming and playing with you, which I think we're actually going to see a little bit later in one of the videos. And yeah, it changes all the time. If you're lucky to see a feeding event, that's something completely different, where it's like you don't exist. You're a fly on the wall. So you have orcas and humpbacks, moving around you. You've got the herring in front of you, and you're basically just on the side of it, and everything's passing you. They see you, but they couldn't care less that you're there.
They're feeding, yeah.
Which for us is awesome. Like they pass you within half a meter away, but they're really careful not to hit you or anything. And you have this front row seat to one of the most impressive spectacles in nature. It's unreal.
Wow. Yeah. But when you said like the orca cub or what baby, they can come and play, you mean like they literally come and touch you, like bite your fins, or not like that? Because dolphin can do that, but rarely wild ones. Yeah.
No, typically what happens with the calves is we're really lucky. The calving season is roughly the same time as well. So we sometimes get babies which are newly born. I'm talking days. Actually, that picture we showed earlier, you can see the fetal folds in the side of the calf.
Wow.
And when they play with you, typically what happens is they'll be with mom. And if the baby wants to come and check you out, mom will kind of hang off to the side. And this baby will just start, circling you and playing with you and doing flips and turns and stuff. We've got some videos on the Facebook page.
That's amazing.
And one or two things happens. The baby it can be a minute, it can be 3 minutes, doesn't matter. When the baby gets tired, he's kind of seeing you and wants to move on, he'll rejoin with mom, who's been watching all the time, and they swim off. But sometimes mom will just decide, it's time to go and do something else. And she'll pass between you and the baby. They join up and they move on. But no physical contact that I've experienced or seen, or they're usually pretty cautious.
Yeah. That's very cool. Perfect. We have another question also, but I'm going to wait with that a little bit. From Renato. So hang on, you will get your answer. Okay. Now, we talked a little bit more about the orcas and how you interact with them, and we know there is 2 boats and there is 4 people, and you said like there is some guidelines they have to, or prerequisites, so to say, to join. But what are, like, if somebody do want to join a trip like this, like what would be your how do you say advice or recommendations, like how they should prepare themselves for a week in Norway in 2-degree water? With
2
orcas.
degrees is an exception. It's usually around like 5, 6.
Yeah, huge difference for most people.
All right. So, it doesn't matter if someone comes with me, if they go with someone else, it doesn't matter. Number one is do your research on the people or the organization or the company that you're planning on joining. I wrote an article, I don't know, a year ago or something. If anyone's interested, you can go and read it for some tips. But you want to make sure that the company you're going with, they're ethical and that they have a good safety record. And that they know what they're doing. You don't just want to go with some guy who's, you're paying for his trip and he's never been there. That happens, unfortunately. So beyond that, then for yourself, do your research, kind of figure out where you are in terms of your in-water ability. Are you someone who swims a lot? Are you someone who's never been in the water? And then go from there. Just as a guideline, if you look at our website and you once again click on requirements, there's all the basic requirements someone needs. But you should be able to be in the water wearing a wetsuit, snorkel, fins, mask, gloves, all that stuff, and be able to swim from point A to B with a little bit of waves and stuff, and do so confidently without freaking out. And we recommend people do a freediving course or even a scuba diving course. But freediving courses are better because we do focus on technique and relaxation, and specifically an open water freediving course, because a pool just doesn't simulate what you experience in open water. It's unreasonable if you've never been in the water, you go do a basic course, which is maybe just a pool course. And now you come to me in Norway, and for the first time in your life, I put you in 100 meters of water. Some people, that's quite overwhelming. So,
which is cold and black.
Yeah. And
how is the visibility? Like it feels dark in the water, or?
Yeah, it's seasonal dependent as well. Depends on when in the year you come. So the closer to December, the darker it is. But you can always see it. It's not that you're diving at night. Like you can take pictures and video throughout the season. In December, mid-December, the days just become really short, but the sun is still there. You just don't see it. So yeah, visibility, anything from, on a good day, 20, 25 meters.
Okay, that's not
we
bad.
have days in
all.
shallow bays where you'd imagine it's somewhere in the tropics. It's unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah.
And bad days, we've had a day where we had the herring basically spawning. So the water was like milk. Okay, then you have 1 meter visibility, but yeah, bad visibility, 5 to 8 meters.
Okay. Did you have any clients anytime when they go in the water? Like if I'm thinking now in bad visibility, you jump in and then like there is this orca suddenly like that actually got scared and didn't like it?
Never that they didn't like it. We've had people just get the little moment of surprise, but we're pretty good in trying to figure out what's going on before we go into the water, making sure people are prepared for the opportunity or the possibility that they might see something. But yeah, sometimes people just, especially the first time, you see this black shape come up and then the next thing there's an orca like 2 meters away from you. Ah! So
it's a big thing. Somebody was just asking if this is a one-day trip. No, it's a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the baby playing with us.
This is the baby playing with you.
So here we've got Toby on the camera. Toby's actually watching right now. And yeah, so yeah, it's a week long. We don't do day trips. It's linked to the opportunity of seeing something if you're actually there for more days. We don't really want to do the day trip stuff because it puts a lot more pressure on operators to kind of deliver, which sometimes results in, operators pushing a bit and obviously crossing some of the ethical lines. Not all of them, but on occasion it does happen. So for us, we do minimum 5 days. 5 days on the boat.
But then you're also, yes. So the 2 days on shore, which is before the boat.
Yeah.
This is where you do some theory teaching about, you said like you have lecture about the environment, the orcas.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah. And then you do these other tests and checking out everything that they can swim in their equipment in the sea before you
exactly.
row the boat.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of like education and training before included.
Yeah. As I said, we really want people to understand what it is they're seeing and not just, come and check a box.
Yeah. So we had, let me see how many jumps in the water do you have as a client? This is the same person. He says, is it a one-day trip? How much time it takes? How many jumps in the water you have as a client? How long are you able to stay in the water?
It's a good question. A lot of people, if you think of liveaboards and Red Sea, you measure your dives in terms of 2 dive sessions in a day or 3 or whatever. We cannot control what we're going to see. You might not even get in the water on a given day because there's not the opportunity to do it. Or you can have a day where you're in and out of the water for 4 or 5 hours continuously, and you basically get in and out until you can barely stand anymore. So yeah, it all depends on what's happening.
Depends on the orcas and the
Pretty
weather.
much. And the humpbacks.
And the humpbacks. Yeah. I mean, you have days where you don't see any orcas
of course.
or humpbacks too. So it's not like you cannot guarantee anything. Actually, it mostly happens, but and they are their own. Yeah, it's nature. They do what they want.
Yeah,
we're to follow.
Very well connected, and following up activities. We work quite closely with fishermen and the fishing authorities and stuff, and so we have a pretty good idea of where the activity is. But some days there can be herring everywhere, and you won't see a single whale. It happens.
Yeah. They're doing the diet day.
Never thought of it like that, maybe.
Maybe they do this 5-2, whatever that is. You eat 5 days and fast 2. Yeah. Okay. We're having some other questions coming in too. Let me just check. The Arctic page, your page says that the season is from November to February. Somebody says.
So the question says November to February. We're actually changing that. The herring season has changed slightly, so it starts a little earlier now. It starts mid-October, a little bit after mid-October, and the season pretty much finishes around mid-January. So we're gonna adjust according to that. And in terms of the light question, there's more than enough light throughout the season. It's just how long your days are. So,
and this was something that was on my list of questions to you anyway, about the light and the short days, because we're in Norway and it's in the winter, so there's very short days. So I mean, how many hours a day are you kind of on the boat, and or possible to go in the water if there are orcas, because you don't really dive in the night, or do you?
No, we don't dive in the night.
No. So what do you do there? Like, how many hours you're actually there, and what do you do the rest of the time?
It's pretty extreme. If you come early in the season, a diving day with light can be 6-7 hours easy. If you come in December, mid-December, the diveable light can be as little as an hour and a half. And then people say, why would you come in December? Keep in mind that December is the absolute peak of the season. So there's a lot of activity. So in that hour and a half, you might see way more than someone who came in, let's say November, who was there for 6 hours and they had just a few encounters. So yeah, we do have a lot of time off, after the day's diving, which I guess is your next question.
Yeah, I said what you do the rest of the time. I already asked the question.
All right.
And I just see some beautiful pictures of Northern Lights.
So yeah, here you see the Northern Lights. We're very lucky in that the area where we operate is right underneath the Northern Lights Oval. It's actually one of the best places in the world to see the Northern Lights.
Wow.
So yeah, if there's clear sky, odds are pretty high that you can see these. It's as spectacular as you see in some of these clips in these, videos. I actually included a video here somewhere of real-time video, which is not a time lapse, just to show people what it would look like to your eye. So yeah, of course, at the end of a day's diving, a lot of people get off the boat because we're usually in a harbor, and you can go on shore and you can go and see stuff like this. Yeah, it's also the time of year where it's kind of Christmassy, and all the Norwegian homes have all the Christmas lights up. And so if you're from the Southern Hemisphere, here's the video. So yeah, that is actual video. That's not edited or trick photography or anything. That is exactly what you would see with your eye. So yeah, if you're from the Southern Hemisphere, it's pretty special to see. You see the whole, snowy Christmassy thing with all the lights and in the same area, there's moose and reindeer, and there's big birds of prey like the fish eagles and stuff around, and lots to do.
But moose and reindeer, I mean, obviously when you're back in the harbor, it's dark. So you go and see moose and reindeer in the night.
It depends on where you are. If you're, this is actually Cherbourg, if anyone's interested.
Okay, that's a beautiful place.
Towards the left, you see a little hill there. One of the things we like to do, Pavel loves doing this, is to take the clients to the top of the hill.
And roll down?
No, in the next picture, you'll actually see what you see, because at night, you see this. So it basically overlooks the next fjord, and this path goes onto a little beach, and there's hiking trails up there. So some people even go hiking in the snow. So yeah, I mean, it's very rare that someone complains that they don't have anything to do at the end of the day. There's always stuff to see and do. And typically what happens is people dive, they look at their pictures, they go and sleep, they wake up, they eat, they go look at the Northern Lights, come back, sleep, and then it's the next day. So yeah.
Yeah, you felt a day like that. So the boat is always in the harbor like you can always get off the boat if you want to.
9 times out of 10. On rare occasions, we're, let's say, in some very secluded fjord where there's only the pier, or we're on anchor, but for most part, we're in a harbor. So you can actually go and explore and walk around.
Here is a nice picture of a shop.
This is Tromsø. So this gives you the Christmassy kind of feel of that time of year. And lots of snow, so you can build snowmen and do all the fun stuff.
I saw a video once where you were rolling down a snowy hill. That was funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Lots of things to do in Norway.
Lots of things to do.
Okay, so back to orcas. Now what do you do when you don't see orcas? So when they, like, you just told us how you felt when you were there the first time yourself, and those orcas and humpbacks and everything. Like, when you come then and you have your clients, like, what is the common first reaction, or how do people feel, and what happens when they actually first get to see the orca underwater, preferably? Yeah.
So people laugh because as part of our presentation.
Very serious and straightforward. So calculate that if you want to cry, so that's a very common reaction. For some people, it's very emotional.
You're mute.
Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so some people, they might start crying. I have a very...
You said they start laughing because
in the presentation, when we tell people that if you want to cry, it's more than okay, you usually have a few chuckles like, you know,
yeah, right.
Who cries when they... And it happens. And, you know, we... It, you know, reminds me of me. And yeah, it's unreal. And then you get the other end. There's so many different responses. Mr. Dave Tranfield, he had a very special experience with me where it was him and me alone in the water with a bait ball, and he's a good freediver. It's so overwhelming. Like he kind of got, you know, in this beginner freediver state where it's like you forget how to do anything. You just kind of, yeah, some people, the video we just saw, Toby, who's watching, the long-term effect, some people even get tattoos of their experience, which we're going to see right now. That tattoo is actually the calf in that video. So
you're right.
Toby got some amazing shots of that encounter as well, and he got the tattoo. So yeah, I mean, yeah, some
long-lasting memories for sure.
Definitely extreme responses, and we love seeing it. It's always special.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of a once in a lifetime, it seems like this once in a lifetime thing. I go back to the Renato question. How much does it cost to swim with Orca?
So yeah, the best thing to do is, if you want to know the price or what kind of thing applies to you, is to contact us. There's different options. If you've been with us before, we can do weeks where you don't have to do the guest house week because you've been there, you've seen, you've done the presentation, the checks. So the prices vary slightly, and you know, we don't like to just throw out one ballpark number. So contact me and I'll tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, easy enough. Okay, so I mean, it's like, I think for many people, it's like a once in a lifetime dream trip. You know, it's not something you go, yes, where do you go with the vacation with the family, you know? And we know that Norway in itself is not the cheapest country in the world. But having said that, you actually do have returning customers too. Yeah,
it's quite amazing. It never stops to amaze me. I think now we've got anywhere from 40 to 50% of our clients are returning.
That's a lot.
These are people from all walks of life. I mean, everything from receptionists to pilots to people in the military to just absolutely everything, which for us is awesome. I mean, we make good friends. You get to learn from people you wouldn't normally meet.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of them come back.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's quite capturing. Yeah, I think you came back year after year.
Coming back as long as I can. It never gets old.
No, I wonder if we had any other questions. This one we had. Yeah, Karim was asking, we're getting to the end now, so I just want to, Karim was asking, what kind of camera you have?
I usually have a few, but this last season I was using the Panasonic Lumix S1, if anyone's interested. I love the camera, absolutely awesome. Yeah, so it's a full frame mirrorless. That being said, people get great stuff with GoPros and stuff as well. So you don't have to have professional camera gear to get good shots.
But you used to be a Canon guy, no?
I purchased Canon and used them for a while. So yeah, I'm happy with Lumix at the moment.
Nice. Okay, let's see if we have any other question. I have one question left. I might have missed something, but I think we did well. Now, this is an interesting question to you. I've been asking other people too. If you get offered a free freediving trip anywhere in the world, where you haven't been before, where would you go? You were one of the people who actually managed to do that.
I got that.
You got it. So still, now you did that. What's the next wish?
It's a very tricky question for me to answer. I think if I had the choice to go somewhere to do something again, you know, all expenses kind of covered kind of thing, it would most likely be to a place which is not frequented or visited often, where there's some kind of special, you know, big animal aggregation. There is a few things I have in mind, but nothing I want to mention because
exactly, because then other people go there. But
exactly.
You know, if you mention it, maybe somebody listening to this like, okay, cool, I'm gonna found that trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna gamble and say it's not gonna happen. Yeah, no, there's a few special places which I'd really like to see, but the obvious big ones, obviously Antarctica, not the touristic kind of going with a cruise ship and, you know, doing the little, you know, the bay everyone goes to. I'd like to spend some time down there. Another absolutely ridiculous place I would love to visit, which isn't really possible, is Marion Island. They have orcas down there as well. So if you're not a researcher and you're not willing to stay there for 6 months or part of the relief crew, odds are pretty slim that you're going to end up there. If anyone's interested, there's the Marion Island Orca survey kind of research program as well. You'll find them on Facebook. They've got awesome pictures and stuff happening there as well.
Maybe
little island in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe you can become a part of their crew.
I'd have to go and study again.
Oh yeah, true.
You never know.
No, true. Maybe they just need an awesome photographer.
One would hope.
We will see. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jacques, and super nice to see you again.
You too. Thank you very much.
Been too long, and I love your stories. And if anybody still would ask anything more, you can still do it in the Facebook chat and we will answer. And yeah, if you were more interested in what Jacques is doing, it's like Arctic freediving.
Yep.
Facebook
so they can either
page.
just go to my website, which is jdvos.com. It basically links to everything. Or for the Arctic freediving, it's arctic-freediving.com. So you'll see
Arctic-freediving, yeah.
So arctic-freediving.com.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for everyone that listened. That was awesome.
And as soon as the quarantines are over, I'll come to see you in Tenerife.
Awesome. Look forward to it. Cool.
Bye.